From LinkedIn News, I'm Leah Smart, host of Everyday Better, an award-winning podcast dedicated to personal development. Join me every week for captivating stories and research to find more fulfillment in your work and personal life. Listen to Everyday Better on the LinkedIn Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Break language barriers instantly by translating up to 44 languages in real time with the HP AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. With the right tools, work doesn't have to feel like work. Learn more at hp.com/AI PC.
Hello, my fellow negotiators. Did you know I once had a listener share that after listening to our podcast, she was able to negotiate a $53,000 raise? And you know what I told her? Where is my commission? Just kidding. But the real story is, this was after years of being too afraid to negotiate. But after listening to a couple of episodes on salary negotiation, she felt equipped with the confidence and tools to ask for the payment she deserved. And that, my friends, is the power of negotiation. And through a subscription to our new membership community, Negotiate Anything Premium, we're taking that power to the next level. With customized playlists based on our most popular topics, you'll be able to find the episodes you're looking for much faster and much easier. A tool that comes in handy as you're getting ready to prepare for an important negotiation. Even I find myself asking, which episode should I listen to before heading into a high-stakes negotiation? And you might be saying, but Kwame, you're the ones having the conversations, but I forget, so I listen to the episodes multiple times, okay? Now, here's the thing about Negotiate Anything Premium. It'll allow you to dive deeper into the specific situations you're facing, whether it's a salary negotiation, an important business meeting, or an emotional conversation with a loved one. Bonus for you, in addition to ad-free and extended episodes, premium members will have exclusive access to solo episodes and insights from yours truly. And as you know, it will be very dry and very boring because I have no sense of humor. And this is something that you all have been asking for. I'll also be offering personalized answers to some of your most burning questions through our Ask Me Anything feature. If you've been enjoying our traditional feed, imagine the value a premium subscription can offer. I've felt the benefit of negotiation firsthand, and it is life-changing. Many of you don't know this, but my journey has taken me from people pleaser to a confident negotiator because I was able to do two simple things. Through negotiation, I was able to first change my mindset, and then I was able to improve my skill set. And that is what will happen for you when you join Premium. I've already seen the impact of these skills and the power of this model, not only in my own life, but also in the lives and careers of our clients all around the world, my family, my friends, and our team here at ANI. And I am confident that it can do the same for you. Now, are you ready to negotiate more of the best things in life? Check the link in the show notes to learn more. I'm excited to continue the conversation. I'll catch you later. Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, my man. It's a privilege and an honor, and I'm really excited to be here.
Hey, likewise. I appreciate you accepting the invite. So how about you get us started by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So yeah, of course. I'm an author of The Art of Negotiation, a book that kind of went out into the world and did more than I expected. I'm also an entrepreneur, and I work and run tech businesses and basically expand them into regions that and try to beat expectations, right? Essentially, that's what we're doing in business. We're trying to beat and overachieve expectations. And I'd say that's what I do with my coaching clients. That's what I do in my trainings. And that's what I do with people that I interact with on a daily basis. I try to move the needle on my interactions.
I love it. And so again, listeners, this is really funny. You know how it goes. All of my friends are super humble, so I always got to help them with some shout outs here. So we have the exceptional book, The Art of Negotiation, but you also have online courses and training that you do too. So make sure you shout that out too.
Okay. Thank you for the point. I got it.
Yeah. So I'm pumped about this. I'm pumped about this because the work that you do is monumental. It's really important, and you've helped a lot of people. And you are one of the few brave souls who has ventured into writing a second book. I know the second book is coming out, which is going to be the topic of this podcast. So I'm excited to get into this. And so I think a fun place to start would be asking this question. You already have a really great book out on the market with a fantastic name. Kudos on that. The Art of
Thank you.
Negotiation. Why write a second one?
Well, part of it was like the journey on the first book was to really show people what was possible in negotiations and expand their mindset and their confidence around negotiation and just do something for the topic of negotiation, because I felt there was a gap. And working in negotiation for a decade, you see so many techniques and strategies. You see so many people coming into negotiations with what they believe negotiation should be and should look like, based on the movies, based on their friends, based on business people that they've been associated with. And it just kind of, I wanted to expand people's mindset just to the wealth of possibilities in everyday negotiations of how they can be creating more advantageous situations for themselves and influence people in general through their communication skills, because this is pretty much the number one skill that you can acquire, the ability to influence, persuade, and negotiate. It comes under the bracket of negotiation, but I really think it's about influence, persuasion, self-discipline, self-respect, self-worth, self-belief. It really is that bucket. And so when you have that, and you can imagine that you can go and create new situations that benefit both the other party and yourself, it transforms your life. And so the next decade of my work, I was in trainings, my career it changed as well. And you start to be in different situations, different cultural negotiations, different regions that you're expanding. Things changed. And I kept hearing a different thing. And obviously I did my own research. And this pulled me more closer to the human, right? Closer to what we are. We're humans. This goes back to my roots, which are in psychology, and the fact that this is about human behavior. And so to kind of set this up is I've come up with the human approach to negotiation. And that is an acronym.
Let's get into it, man. I'm excited.
Get into the acronym.
Let's lay out the acronym.
So the acronym is HEAR, unlock, move, align, and network. And really, the starting point for all of this is here. You've got to make the other side, the other party, feel heard, because everything we're doing with this is to work with human behavior, not against it. Everything we're doing here is to play into the psychology behind the other person and to bring them closer. So with here, what we're doing is we're seeking to understand and we're not seeking to respond. And I think that's a massive mistake. And it's something that we can all get better at, is when we're sitting and we're listening to someone, we're not really hearing them. They're not feeling heard. It's something that you feel, the hearing part of it. And you hear by asking the right questions. Because if you're asking the right questions, it demonstrates through your actions that you've heard them. And the other person can feel that. They feel it through your body language, right? You don't hear through listening. You hear through your body language. It's emotional, right? It's your body language. And you're showing all of these ways. And actually, I start to disagree with some of the things that are in the negotiation work that's out there already around micro gestures, active listening. Like when you're interrupting someone so much that you're like, yeah, I got you. Like you're trying to active listen because you think you should be doing that. And sometimes it comes across as disingenuous. It interrupts their flow. And what the problem with that is we are automatically jumping in and finishing people's sentences. And that just says to someone, hey, I know better than you, or hurry up. I need to get on with this. And it's sort of unconsciously, it's signaling that to someone. You're not necessarily saying it. You think that you're being like, okay, we get each other. We're on the same page. I know what you're going to say. But actually it's like, no, I want you to hurry up. I've got you. I know where you're going with this. And it's the assumption, right? You've made an assumption about what the other party is going to say, about their motivations, about their intentions. And again, you're not letting the other side feel heard. So giving that as the first step sets you up so much differently and sets the negotiation up. And I think this is where you start down the right path, because when we're negotiating with different individuals, they have different experiences, they have different capabilities in terms of their negotiation skill, and they have different intentions, right? And so they can be coming into it in a very different fashion, more of a distributive fashion, where they're just looking to take as much share as possible. And they have the belief that you're also looking to do the same. So straight away, there's almost a conflict or a very difficult conversation or premise within the negotiation. But with you doing this, you're bringing here into it, it reduces that resistance and starts the process to bring them closer to you.
This is what we call in the podcasting world a very strong start, Tim. This is a very strong start. I love this. I've got a quick story for you. So I was at this keynote and I talked to a listener and he said, Kwame, I love the podcast, but my favorite part, man, I love those commercials. And I said, I don't think this is a true story. And now let me tell you about Negotiate Anything Premium, where you can listen to your favorite Negotiate Anything episodes ad-free. With a subscription to Premium, you can get access to more insights from your favorite experts and ad-free listening and extended episodes. Bonus, you'll also get access to exclusive episodes and personalized advice from yours truly. If you've been looking for an easy and affordable way to level up your skills and negotiate more of the best things in life, join our premium community. Now, for that gentleman in that fictional story, this ad's for you. And for the rest of you, I'll see you in premium.
Introducing the HP AI PC, your powerful AI assistant. Easily search through personal files, gain valuable insights, and make smarter, more informed business decisions. Unlock the future of work today with the HP AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. With the right tools, work doesn't have to feel like work. Learn more at hp.com/AI PC.
So many things to explore here. And I'm going to shout this one out because I want to come back to it. But listeners, I hope you heard this, because Tim said with this human-centered approach to negotiation, what you're doing is you're playing into the psychology of humanity, but not working against it. And I think so many times what we end up doing is we operate in these negotiations in the world that we wish we lived in, not the world we actually live in, without giving like fair consideration to the psychology that's behind that. So I'm going to bookmark that. We're going to come back to this because we started off really strong with talking about hearing too, because a lot of times in negotiation, I think if people were to just hear the acronym that you came up with for human, where H is for hear, they're probably thinking, yes, I need them to hear me. But we're thinking about it from the other perspective. No, they need to feel heard. And I love what you said about active listening, because you're absolutely right. It's almost become like if you're creating a bad joke for a negotiation professional. Oh, what would a negotiator tell you to do? Ask better questions and actively listen. And you're right, because people hear active listening so many times that they shifted from actual active listening to acting like you're listening. Okay, this is what it looks like when you're listening, right? And you're right, because a lot of times we use those same nonverbal encouragers to show that we're listening, but really subconsciously what we're doing is we're interrupting and getting them to hurry up. And what I found, especially when I'm negotiating with extroverts, the louder the yeah, oh, okay, so this is them saying, shut up, it's my turn to speak. So you're hitting on a lot of really important things here.
That's it, right? It sends a trigger inside that person's mind, and they're like, yeah, that's exactly what they're thinking, and then they're not listening to you, right? And it's also about the law of reciprocity, right? You're wanting to set this up in a way where you're almost giving first, right? You're giving through your ability to hear and help them feel heard, and then you're also setting the bar high for what you expect in the relationship going forward. And so the standard is being raised as to how we're going to conduct this negotiation through here.
Bingo, right? Because I like to think about it through the lens of conversational leadership. A lot of times people say to me, well, Kwame, what do I do to get somebody to hear me? It's important for me to listen. Yeah. But the problem is they're not hearing me. And we have to recognize that if we are the leaders in this negotiation, in terms of not some kind of manipulative Machiavellian puppeteer type of a leader here, if we're just showing people how to negotiate effectively, when somebody isn't hearing me, what I say to myself is, oh, okay, you don't know how to listen. This is a skill. Let me show you how to listen. I'm going to shut up for a bit, and I'm going to demonstrate what effective listening is. And that's the tool that I use to get people to be willing to hear me. I need to take the first step. I have to be that leader and listen effectively. And then when they feel heard, then they will listen to me, because listening is often reciprocal in nature.
That's super powerful. That's super powerful. That's exactly the solution. And it's obviously the pill that the person doesn't want to take. They don't want to take that because they haven't been doing it. If they did, they would have done it and they would have got the result.
Bingo. And I think that's one of the most frustrating and yet empowering things about negotiation, because a lot of times the bad behavior we see on the other side, sometimes we might have created the atmosphere that created that behavior. And sometimes it takes us to do the right thing in order to change the dynamic. But we have that childlike mentality. They did it first. I'm mad at them. They need to fix the problem. But if we're truly leading the conversation and we're good negotiators, we have to recognize that it's our responsibility to start taking the right steps and doing the right things. And then sometimes that's all it takes to get the conversation right back on track.
That's so it. That is so it. Because this is about giving you the skills and the structure to be able to guide the negotiation. So that takes into account the context and, like you said, the setup and all of the things that your responsibility in the negotiation for the things that aren't said, for the ways that you've behaved, so that you can guide, no matter what the experience level of the other party, no matter what is in their current state, their mindset, no matter what their intentions are, you can guide it through these steps to bring the human out and to play into the fact that we've got human behavior running this. So let's make it work for us. And because you're hearing them and because they're calling out emotional words, these are the pain points that you want to dig into. And so then we transition into unlock. And this is the stage that everybody misses, or that I think this is really what I wanted to communicate that started me off thinking about this model or this approach. It was the fact that people, once they feel heard, and the people who are negotiating go, yeah, they felt heard. Yeah, right. Now it's my turn to tell you what I want out of this deal, because you felt heard. So now we got to do it. And they miss unlock. And unlock is when you bring the walls down, you neutralize the mindset, the walls come down, and you show them critically, like the action that you need to do is you need to show them how they get what they want through you. And so by digging into that pain and their current state of the things that they need to change, and then getting them to imagine their better future, the things that they want, and to really talk about that, them, not you, them talking about it in their own words, to imagine what it would be like in the future when they're doing what they want that happens through you, you inspire them with possibility. And that links back to my first book, which is what I was trying to get people to understand, is the possibility that is there that wasn't currently on the table, but through this, you created it. And so you've neutralized the mind, you've unlocked them through the heart, not the head. So when we unlock, it comes through the heart. We're inspiring from that place of possibility. And so you can then start to plant seeds, right? Your unique differentiators, your holistic differentiators, your comparative differentiators. You can start to sprinkle some of your own in there, your own parts, but only when it links to how they get what they want through you. And if you don't have that link, it's just you telling them what you want, which then puts the walls back up.
So Tim, my wife bought us a dartboard for the basement, which as a lawyer, I just saw liability everywhere. I was terrified. I was like, these things are sharp, and our kids are not that coordinated yet. And the other day, I came down and I saw this dart sticking in the wall, like 6 inches above the dartboard. And I think about that as it relates to negotiation, because a lot of times we start throwing these persuasive darts and we have no idea what the target is. We haven't even taken the time to listen and hear what it is they care about. And so we have all these solutions, all these points that we might want to make, and we have no idea if we're landing because we haven't taken the time to aim. And that's what I think about when I hear this unlock principle, because first you have to have them paint that picture for you. And then you can provide that information. Now you can make your case. But you're so right, Tim. People miss this unlocking phase, and they're missing out in extreme value. And not just in terms of finances, but also in depth of relationship too.
Oh, massive. I mean, this is where you differentiate yourself from every other negotiator that's been out there, every other negotiation situation that they've been out there, because they're not expecting you to take the time to unlock with them. And they're also not expecting you to create the space for them to hear themselves, convince themselves of what they want. In doing this, they're showing themselves why they need to change, why they need to work through the pain of this negotiation, the challenge, the hurdles together with you. Because together you can create more. Together you can create. If you're competing, are we going to be able to create more value? No, we're leaving the value that could have been created and putting it aside and saying, no, we're just going to get what we can get by both kind of going in as hard as we can on certain points of interest, and we'll get where we get to. And so that's the big thing here, is the fact that you're differentiating yourself as a skilled negotiator in this, and in doing that, you're showing them this is going to be different. This is how it should be done. This is the standard. And through that, I mean, this links to the kind of point that underpins the whole model, which is network. You're building a network that's respected, that's global, that actually is going to start referring you business because they understand and enjoy the conduct of how you negotiate. Of course, you're going to negotiate. You're going to negotiate well, but that doesn't mean people don't want to do business with good negotiators.
Bingo. You're so right. And I really want to focus in on this point that you made. They aren't expecting this. They aren't expecting this approach, because a lot of times, if maybe they haven't been trained, maybe they haven't read your books, Tim, maybe they don't know, right? So they might not feel comfortable in the process. And a lot of times when you have that, you have fear, or maybe you've been burned in the past, so you have your guard up. You think about this in a positional, strictly distributive type of way, where it's more of an aggressive haggling interaction than a meaningful collaborative negotiation. And we can, at the beginning, we can say, hey, this is my approach to negotiation. Okay, whatever. I don't care, right? But if you show them that this is your approach to negotiation, that's different. And I want to go into this because this is really fascinating, because I'm sure you get this question a lot. If I'm going up against a tough negotiator, and they are super distributive in their approach, very positional, aggressive, and they don't care about this human-centered approach, how do I negotiate while still staying true to my values and trying as much as possible to use this human-centered approach without getting steamrolled by the other side?
And I think that's right. The word you use there is perfect, because I use it like a bulldozer analogy, right? They're a bulldozer. And this is what it's used. It's probably worked for them 70 to 80% of the time. But the value that they're missing out on is the value they could have created if they'd have gone through the human-centered approach on all of that 70%. So it would have expanded the pie. And then also the 30%. And also the detrimental effect to their relationships and their network. And the fact is if you are a bulldozer or a steamroller or a hard-nosed type negotiator, people see you coming a mile off. So they know how you're going to behave in the negotiation. Therefore, they come in completely prepared, ready for that. Yeah, they're going to use anger to try and manipulate me, hard emotions. They're going to play on my biggest fears to try and get me to concede and to give in and when you know that that's the setup, you come in with that awareness. And this links back to your own self-awareness. So you aren't flustered. Again, you're going to react differently anyway, because you're a skilled expert negotiator. So yes, it's not enjoyable to be in the room with a hardline steamroller type negotiator, but it doesn't mean that they're not revealing information left, right, and center, because their strategy won't work on you because it's one strategy approach. It's not multi-dimensional, i.e. when it's distributive. And the way I think about it is like, this is the pie and you're just going after the biggest share, and it's price, it's whatever levers we can move. When really, and you will definitely know this as a lawyer in the background, is the fact that we're really negotiating risk. Legal has way more sway in negotiations than the actual price. It's about negotiating risk. Yeah, okay, cool. You want those terms? That's fine. It's going to come at a different cost. We negotiate more risk. This happens, right? So those levers that they want, can get pulled, but they're going to do things in other directions. And when you can calmly articulate that, it frustrates them. So you have to be prepared for the fact that when you're not doing the game that they're playing, they're going to try harder and lean into it even harder. They're going to go and bring in dirty tactics essentially to do that, because it's playing on ego. And when we understand that, we go, well, is that the road we even want to travel down? Is that the road we want to even go down? Because that road, by you becoming an expert negotiator, in one sense, yes, it can happen where they will flip and they'll push you and they'll push you and they'll push you, and they see this guy, no, they're just too good. They're not going anywhere. And therefore it does generate some level of respect. But in the completely narcissistic approach, no, they will all out try to do everything to stop the deal, or to make it very painfully for you in the future. Everything from spreading rumors to whatever it is, right? They're going to try and destroy you because you've infuriated them and made them look, you've got them off their strategy, right? And this has worked 70% of their time in their career, and that's what they're used to getting. So if you know that, and you know that there's a risk, do you want to be around that energy? Do you want to even have where that's going to take you, because you're able to use what they're putting out as a weapon against them? I would say probably not, because I don't have time to carry around. I don't know about the importance of this negotiation, but I don't have time to have a battle with someone that even need that battle, right? Just because that's what they're going to do, because that's the human that they are. Or do I want to think about it again through the lens of the human approach? And if we're looking back at psychology and we're leaning on that as the complete underpinning of human behavior and how we know, I believe that if you are able to come at it through that lens, and you're able to get them to form respect around your approach through you being so differentiated from, again, this human approach will still differentiate you from the 70% that accepted the deals that they're used to. So you're still in a different category. But I like to think that we raise people up with our expectations, right? If we go in there and we expect them to play dirty and to be deceptive and to use it, they may end up doing that because that's coming from us, right? We're pushing that out there. When I expect you to have a higher standard, when I expect you to have integrity, even though it's not your norm, I can actually influence you to raise your own standard on this occasion. And I can show you a new way by you thinking that you're showing yourself a new way. But actually it was just the expectation and the standard that I had for this, for you to be better, for you to be better. And for you, it's not that I'm not naive and I think that you're not going to try these tricks on me. It's the fact that you're playing on the psychology behind it as well, for them to want to impress you, for them to want to do the things that you expect of them, and for them to show you, but really show them that they can do this. Because if they think that they can't do it, they're going to rise to that challenge and almost pull themselves up, because that's the expectation. So again, I think it's not about necessarily being fearful of which route to take. It's about going back to, who do you want to be in the room, right? Because if we start moving away from what we believe and the way that we want to operate, we're in no man's land. And then we're starting to kind of do things and deviate from what actually we know to be our truth and our identity, and have respect for ourselves. Because the thing I have learned over the last decade is that if you want to be in a room with hard negotiators like this, you need to have self-confidence, you need to have self-belief, you need to have self-respect. And that comes from doing what you say you're going to do to yourself. Doesn't matter what's happening out there, it comes from within. And therefore, if you keep in integrity with yourself, that is the highest form of self-respect. And when we have self-respect for ourselves, what do we get in return? Because we're putting it out there, right? I respect myself, and through my actions and my words and my ways of being, I'm raising the expectation. And so I would say sticking with what you believe to be true and operating in the sense to how you want to operate is the closest you can get, because then you're going to make the right decisions for you. And remember, you don't have to travel down that road. You don't have to do these deals. So it's not getting caught up in where they will quite quickly take you. They will quite quickly trigger you and try to take you where they want to put you, which is in a place of fear. And so that's why I'm saying if you deviate from what we know to be true and working with human behavior, not against it, psychology, these principles, if you deviate from that, I do think there's a certain risk there. One, because this person can take it further than you can take it in terms of the bad side of things. And they can also put you in a place that they actually feel more comfortable and where they want you, because then they can start to manipulate you. And because you've decentered from what you believe, you have got some sort of gap there. And we need to stay centralized here and be solid. And that's where you're impenetrable from your own belief, your own respect, your own self-awareness. And from there, we've got everything.
Wow, listeners! First of all, I have to apologize because I know I try to keep these around like 30 minutes, but I am going to go in on this response. There's so much good stuff here, Tim. I was like,
Sorry,
okay,
so
we're gonna have to land the plane here soon, and then you just drop all these gems. I'm so excited to get into this. So this is so important for people to remember, because when we are having these difficult conversations, we understand we're going to have to adjust our approach somewhat based on the person who's in front of us, but we adjust more on the margins than in the core. What I would say, because the core will stay the same, but what you're recognizing is if you're dealing with somebody who is a bulldozer, who's a bully, who is on the narcissistic side or high conflict side, like you said, I love the way you said it. It's not going to be enjoyable, but the approach is still relatively simple, right? Because you're dealing with somebody who's really one-dimensional. And when you think about this in difficult conversations and negotiations, I think it's really helpful to think about it through the lens of sports. Think about athletes who use trash talk, who say mean and offensive things. The reason they do that is because you get all mad and change your game and play worse. And at the end of the day, if you're negotiating with somebody who's tough like this, just know they have infinitely more experience doing this than you do. And so if you want to be mean and nasty and tough to somebody who is mean and nasty and tough, they will go so much further and you will not recognize yourself at the end of the process. And so really the human approach, the acronym, it still stays the same. You just have to be more resolute in the process, because you're going to fail in these conversations because you allow them to get under your skin, and then you make bad decisions based on fear or pressure or something like that. And so if you can stay strong, have that self-belief, that confidence, and root that in integrity, and still stay true to your values as a negotiator, that's how you push through it. And I love the fork in the road that you put, because you said, in a lot of cases, you'll have this conversation with somebody and they're going to be mean and nasty, and you stay firm. You don't make a mistake under pressure. You show that you're not rattled, and then it earns their respect. They say, well, plan A isn't going to work against this person. I'm going to be less nasty. Now I can get that done. And I'm sure both of us have experienced that. And then the other side is, okay, they're a narcissist or high conflict. And now they just go to war. I would prefer not to go to war, but you've identified yourself as an enemy combatant, and I know that I need to protect myself. And you've shown yourself to be not somebody that I want to work with. And we have to remember that negotiation is an information gathering game. And I'm not just collecting information about the data related to the deals. I'm collecting data on you as a negotiator and a potential business partner. And a lot of times people show us through the way that they negotiate that they are not the one that we want to be partnering with going forward.
It's that long-term piece that's completely missed, right? You may have to do it for that exact moment, but you're not going to keep repeat business. You're not going to form that partnership. It's the long-term part which is what in 2023 is the piece that's missed when we're talking about entrepreneurial negotiation. When we're talking, it's entrepreneurial, and I know we've got to wrap this up, but just one last point on this: entrepreneurial negotiation, because it's so important right now and it's topical, is the fact that people, they come in and they need to win now, and it's urgent. And because that, they're putting their own needs forward first, and they're missing out on the long-term relationship, which is actually where the benefit is.
Brilliant. Oh, this is so good. Tim, I don't know if you've thought about this, but bro, you should consider writing a book.
The book will come out, and I think it comes from my heart, but it also comes from tons of research and thinking and seeing this in the field and thinking about what's missing, and the fact that if we can tie this all together here through the human approach, where humans, you can apply this across cultural lenses, across international waters as such, and you can do business in any. I want to give you the skills to have that flexibility from where you are, to create that, to be flexible in yourself, to know what's right for each situation, so that you're highly skilled, so that you can do what's right for each situation, to bring it through, and you can guide that negotiation. Because you're right, it comes down to mindset as one part, but I also think part of it is partly almost spiritual, in the sense that it connects back through you into your self-awareness, and you need to draw that through, and that's what you need to develop. You need to develop yourself internally to be able to negotiate at a high level.
I love it. Tim, this was brilliant. So excited for you. So excited to share this platform with you and promote your work. And just give one last shout out for the book and let the listeners know how they can get in touch.
Let's do it. Thank you so much, Kwame. This has been a blast. The Art of Negotiation is the book. It's available on Amazon, in Barnes and Noble, in all the major bookstores where you'd expect books to be. I think the human approach to expert negotiation, fingers crossed, will be out at the end of whenever this year. And the fact is that negotiation as a skill, as something that you can build in terms of human interaction, in terms of that interaction piece, is the number one skill that you need to be learning now. It's the difference when we talk about AI and we talk about all this change. This is what's going to set you apart, because there's no longer room to be mediocre in your career, in business. That's what's the gap that's going to close. So when you start building the ability to communicate, the ability to persuade and influence, that's going to set you apart in a completely different way. But it's also going to allow all of these advantages to come into your life, so that you're not performing at a mediocre level. You're up in the outstanding level. You're outperforming. And that really is what my work is all about. And so there's trainings, there's online courses. If you go to timjscastle.com, I have the School of Success, which is what I've been building, where there's online courses that you can take and you can level up. And then, of course, if you want a masterclass or a training, do reach out.
I mean, listen, if you want a masterclass, I think most listeners already got it through this podcast. And if you want to take it to the next level, check out the books, check out the courses. Tim, this was great. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for this. This is absolutely one of the best podcasts.
Wait. Now, before you sign off, I have something to tell you that I've never told you before. Just kidding. I've told you before, but you should listen to it again. I want you to know about Negotiate Anything Premium. Imagine all of the things that you love about our traditional feed, plus so much more. I know you like our traditional feed because you're at the end of the episode. And with Negotiate Anything Premium, you'll get more bonus content you've been asking for, more of the expert insights that you can't get anywhere else, and more exclusive behind-the-scenes access into every conversation. Are you ready to get more of what you want out of your life, career, and every conversation? With Negotiate Anything Premium, you'll have access to more high-level, custom-designed content and insights, giving you the tools you need to negotiate higher salaries, better deals, and better relationships in your life and career. Once I had a listener share that Negotiate Anything helped her to negotiate a $53,000 raise. Could this be you? What would that mean for your life? I've seen firsthand the impact this model has had on my life and the lives of my corporate clients, and I am confident that it can do the same for you. Are you ready to negotiate more of the best things in life? Click the link in the show notes to learn more. I'll catch you later.